Hello, second grade friends, and welcome to Number Corner. For Number Corner today, we are going to be looking at our calendar grid. We're going to be thinking about telling time. By the end of the day, you will be able to say, I can tell time to the quarter hour. We're going to need some things to help us as we work on telling time. Today, you'll need your whiteboard, marker, and eraser. If you don't have your whiteboard, a piece of paper and a pencil will work just fine. You can pause the video to get what you need. So we are going to look at some of our calendar markers and play See, Set, Scribe. Last time we played, we were thinking about time to the half hour. We are thinking about time a little differently today. Here are the calendar markers we'll look at, but first I want to think about our clock just a little bit. When we count 15 minutes on an analog clock, that's a quarter hour. Here's a picture of an analog clock cut into 4 pieces. We can call this a fourth of the clock because we have 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. I can divide a clock into 4 parts, and one part is 15 minutes. Now, I want you to do this on your whiteboard. I'll show you how. Now, on your whiteboard or a piece of paper, I want you to draw a big circle. Doesn't have to be a perfect circle. Just the best you can do. Mine's not perfect, and that's okay. Now I want you to break this circle into 4 pieces. Watch how we're going to do that. We're going to cut it right down the middle. And then we're going to cut it across the middle as best we can. Might not be perfect, but as best you can. Now I want you to think about coloring in 1/4 of your circle. That would be one really big piece of our pie. I like to think about it as a big piece of pie. I'm going to do my best to color it in here. You should color yours in too. Now this is a lot like breaking up our clock into 1/4. If we did this with our clock, we would have 15 of our 60 minutes colored in. Now let's go ahead and look back at our calendar markers, and we'll see how we can set our time and think about our minutes. You can erase your circle. Now that we've drawn our circle and thought about each quarter of our clock or our circle being 15 minutes, I want us to think about what the quarter hour times are. If the first quarter on our clock is 15 minutes right on our 3, what's the next quarter down by our 6? If you said this would be 30 minutes or half past the hour, good work. Let's move over to our 9. We're adding another 15 minutes. What's our quarter hour time here? If you said 45 minutes, good work. We could say it's whatever time 45 or 15 minutes to the hour or quarter to the next hour. We'll talk about that a little more as we go. We are going to think first about the very first time we see on our calendar cards, the 3 cards I showed you. Now I want to know how I can show this time on an analog clock. Let's read this time together. The time is 8:15. I'm thinking about where each hand would go, and I'm going to go ahead and set my clock to 8 o'clock, and then we're going to watch the hour hands as I move the minute hand to 15 minutes. So let's go ahead and see how we can set our hands. Now I've set my analog clock to 8 o'clock because my hour hand is on the 8, my minute hand is on the 12. That's old clock. Now I'm going to move it to that quarter hour time we just talked about, that 1/4. I want you to be watching this hour hand and see what happens. I count by fives. It's 8:05, 8:10, 8:15. What happened to our hour hand? Our hand moved just a tiny bit. It actually moved about 1/4 of the way to the 9 because we're 1/4 or 1/4 of the way through our hour. Let's look back and see how we're going to say the time, set on our analog clock, and then write the time on your whiteboards. Now we already said it's 8:15. Now we're going to make the time. Well, we've made our time of 8:15. Now I want you to write the time, the digital time, on your whiteboards. How do you write 8:15? We already had a clue of how we write it on our calendar marker. We write it 8:15. Now remember, we need our colon right here. If we don't have a colon here, well, then we just have 815, and that doesn't tell us the time. So remember, you write it 8 and then a colon, 15. Let's move on to our next 2 cards. We'll go a little faster with our Say, Set, Scribe this time. Here's our next calendar marker. What time does it say? Look for your hour hand and your minute hand. Our hour hand is halfway between the 8 and the 9, and our minute hand is on the 6. Say the time with me. It's 8:30, or 8:30. Let's make that time. Now, I've moved my minute hand 1/4 of the way through my clock. I'm going to move it another quarter from 8:15 to 8:20. Oh, as this is moving, I'm looking at my hour hand to see what is happening. 8:25, 8:30. Now my time shows 8:30. My hour hand is halfway between 8 and 9. How much time has passed from 8:15 to 8:30? If you said 15 minutes, give yourself a little pat on the back. Good work. Another 15 minutes has passed. Let's write this time. Make sure when you write your time, you have your colon in the middle. So we'll write 8. We need our colon to separate the hours and the minutes. It's 8:30, or 8:30. Let's look at our last calendar marker for today. Okay, here's our last calendar marker. What time does the clock show? Well, this one is digital, so we can just read it right together. It's 8:45. Let's make it on our analog clock. We're already at 8:30. Let's count 15 more minutes. I'm watching my hour hand as it moves. 8:30, 8:35, 8:40, 8:45. My minute hand is on the 9, and my hour hand, wow, it's almost to the 9. It's so close. It's about 3/4 of the way to the 9. How much time has passed from 8:30 to 8:45? If you said another 15 minutes, good work. Give yourself a pat on the back. How much time has passed all together? If you said 45 minutes, give yourself another pat on the back. It's been 45 minutes since our old clock at 12. It's now 8:45. Let's write our time on our whiteboards. Write your digital time, 8. We need our colon to separate the hour and the minutes. 45. Or 8:45, because there's 1/4 of the hour left before 9 o'clock. Good work telling time to the quarter hour today. You can show a thumb to say how well you feel like you can tell time to the quarter hour. Thumbs up if you're like, oh, I got this. Sideways if you're thinking, oh, I'm a little confused. Or thumbs down if you're just not really sure what we did today. Thank you for joining me for Number Corner. When you're done with this video and you've done the activity to tell time on your whiteboards, turn this in to show your teacher you did this work today. I'll see you next time for Number Corner.